Good evening. Welcome to the November 4th edition of the Downers Grove Village Council meeting. We're glad you've joined us here tonight, whether you're in council chambers or watching at home or watching at a later date. As is our custom, we'll begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Rosa, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Barnett,
Here.
Commissioner Sadowski-Fugit,
Here.
Commissioner Gilmartin,
Here.
Commissioner Tully,
Here.
Commissioner Davenport,
Here.
Commissioner Sarver,
Here.
Commissioner Rowe.
Here. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you tonight. But for those in the audience, if you want to follow along with our agenda, there are copies over on the counters to your right. There are two counters over there that have copies of the agenda on it. Item 3 on our agenda tonight is minutes of previous council meetings. Is there a motion?
Mayor Barnett, I move to approve the minutes of the Village Council meeting of October 21st, 2025 as presented.
Second.
Any comments or questions from the council? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Item 4, public comments portion of the meeting. This is the portion of the meeting where we take public comments on items not on tonight's agenda. And we may have a slight adjustment in agenda here.
I would recommend going with the public comments first.
We have two versions up here.
I recommend let's go with the
The
public.
online is public comment.
We're
Mine
gonna
says
stick
public
with
hearing.
the public comments. We do have a public hearing coming up, but depending on which version you're looking at, I hope that one actually is gonna match this one. Public comments portion of the meeting.
Online is different, yeah.
Good evening,
Welcome.
Mayor, Council, and Village staff. My name is Lily Eddington, and I'm a member of the Grove Express Junior Board of Directors, along with the rest of the students next to me. I'm Finley Warner. I'm Elisa Alaquala.
I'm Gianna Modica.
I'm El Enriquez. And we are all here today to promote our local Thanksgiving Day race, the Grove Express, and encourage your participation.
The Grove Express is a non-for-profit that raises money to donate directly to the community of Downers Grove. This means we donate to schools and other local organizations. The race takes place on Thanksgiving morning each year and has been bringing the community together for over 20 years. This year, the Grove Express will be celebrating 5 years.
Some of the most recent donations from the Grove Express are $12,573 for play-based learning resources for kindergarten classrooms at District 58, District 99 Transitions Program, and the Grove Express Scholarship Program, which has given out a total of $100,000 to date. Volunteers are a huge part of what makes the Grove Express run smoothly and successfully every year. Whether it's helping out at packet pickup or volunteering on race day, there's truly something for everyone to get involved in. Please consider signing up on our website, groveexpress.com. On the top right, you'll see a drop-down that says Get Involved, and from there, you can click on Volunteer and get started.
That same website, groveexpress.com, contains all the details about registering for the race, which, by the way, you can do right now. The current price is $45. The race begins at 8:30 a.m. on Thanksgiving morning on Main Street. We are all very excited about the upcoming race and all the things that come with it. We hope to see you on race day, whether you're volunteering or participating in the race. Either one helps us to continue to grow and give back. Thank you for your time this evening.
Thanks for being here. Other comments on items not on tonight's agenda?
Hi, Mary Blanchard. I want to speak tonight in defense of parking in downtown. I've listened to the repeated comments about parking, and I believe remarks made at the last council meeting especially need addressing. If you live in town for any period of time, you know where to park to get to the places you need to go. At least that's my experience living here for 30 years. I know when to go to town and not to if I want an easier errand path. I know the routes to take to avoid the most traffic, and I especially know where to park. Do I ever expect to park in front of a business I'm visiting? No. In fact, I expect to walk about half a block. Anyone that is able-bodied should expect that. We have limited downtown footprint. Sitting in my car on Main Street in the hopes to pick up a spot I have to parallel into, and that traffic is not a good use of my time or my patience. When I go into Chicago, if I drive, I do not expect to park near the business I'm visiting. In fact, it's same for our neighboring suburban towns. Naperville is a special kind of parking challenge. But I bet if I was a resident there, I would know the parking tricks, just like I know them in Downers Grove. A woman stopped me in downtown once. She wasn't from around here and asked where the cellar door was. I said, if you park right there, you can take the path through the cemetery and it's right next to it. And her reply was, I'm not walking through a cemetery. And my answer was, then I can't help you. Which I say to those that are concerned about parking spots being lost, that have already been gone since COVID. I just don't think council can help you with your parking issue if you haven't figured it out on your own by now. Further, to say that one commissioner in particular is not concerned about people walking in the weather is completely silly. We live in the Midwest. If you're not accustomed to moving about in weather by now, blaming a council member for that would be funny if the narrative that is constantly being driven there wasn't so dangerous. To continue to say that one of the women on council is somehow more responsible for considerations in our village and votes when the majority of council is voting in the same way is peak patriarchy support. On top of it, to say that one commissioner is the only one that listens to the community is not only ludicrous, it's disrespectful in the extreme to every person sitting up here except the one you're brown-nosing. The hours of our commissioners spending sitting up here listening and considering in depth in these meetings, not to mention the preparation, meetings with staff, answering emails, and spending time in our community listening is very much appreciated. I see it and it matters, and it is most definitely not just one of you. I appreciate being able to share this here, and to keep things in perspective, I'm not going to stay long tonight because I'm going to go to a meeting about mental health, because there are other things that are much more important in our community than worrying about parking spots that were lost long ago. Thank you.
Well, I was not expecting to speak tonight, but now I have to. And an individual encouraged me over the weekend. I was at a meeting, and someone came up to me and said how thankful he was that I do speak. So, notwithstanding the intransigence of the council and opinions of others, I am here to thank Mr. Tully once again for his consistent representation of the most viewpoints of the entire community. The rest of you, in my opinion, have been intransigent in your drive to remake the village in your image. Notwithstanding the hoopla and the fancy awards, your pedestrian first, and I sometimes think pedestrian only, mantra hides an underlying theme. If you connect the dots, and it did take me a while to do this, another picture emerges, one that is not a great example of wonderful planning. In my opinion, it shows an emerging pattern of discrimination based on age and discrimination based on disability and the less abled. Over the course of the guiding DG process, one of you said that it's recorded somewhere that people who object to your plans are mostly older people who don't like change. That's ageism. Permanently removing a substantial number of on-street parking spaces that are convenient to important destinations and service providers in the village burdens our older and disabled individuals, and actually younger folks with little kids. The spaces you will remove are the most convenient. They are also available during the winter months currently. The outdoor dining program has eliminated parking spaces during warm weather for 5 years now. The saving grace has been to return those spaces to public use during inclement weather months. Assuming that the contracts for demolition of the downtown have not been let yet, you have time to reconsider Mr. Tully's proposal to maintain flexible components rather than concrete amenity spaces that have been misnamed as flexible. Mr. Tully has offered that he has seen attractive semi-permanent installations that can look nice and still be removed. No doubt your consultants can guide that selection and should have been so far. This would maintain the 5-year-long compromise that at least gives relief to residents who want to enjoy downtown and the library during bad weather. Your plan also removes a parking space and maybe two on Curtis Street to plant a tree. even though several spaces on that area are already removed in the same block. That space should remain available to customers who want to drop off or pick up items at the shoe repair or other shops on that block. This is one compromise that you could make without affecting the rest of your plan. Too little, but at least it's something. I have noticed at many council meetings, especially when topics draw a lot of speakers, that many residents have difficulty walking to the podium to share their views with you. Mayor, I would ask you if you would say the same thing to them that you said to me, that the garage is only 600 feet from the center of town. The library is much farther. The statement implicitly assumes that there will be parking spaces in the garage, which frequently there are not. The first floor spaces are generally occupied by residential parkers. There is no recognition that a parker will have to negotiate the steep ramps in order to reach the elevator and then navigate snowy, icy, or wet sidewalks. What about mom or dad who wants to visit the library for a story hour who has a stroller and a toddler in tow? Do you tell them to park in the garage? Both library parking lots are impossible at story time. What would you say to that parent? Park in the garage? What about the snow and ice and cold? Commissioner Sadowski-Fugia, would you say, as you did last meeting, this is the new normal, get used to it? Your guiding DG materials show only sunny, pleasant, cloudy, free days. Your plan that eliminates convenient parking in bad weather will cause a significant inconvenience, detriment, and even harm to many of your constituents. You should at least leave in place the status quo that frees up available convenient parking during the winter. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Olga Basco, and I live at Park Grove Condominiums, which backs up to Fischel Park. And I and a number of people from the building are here to talk about the unhoused population in downtown Downers Grove and safety. Could I have? Thank you so much. On October 27th at 2 a.m. in the morning, we had an unhoused person come into Fischel Park and find that his belongings had been removed. He then proceeded to dismantle the split rail fence in the park, pick up the pieces, bring it to our parking lot, break them in the parking lot, and then proceeded to do other things which we did not discover until the next morning. We called the police. There were several people who called the police. The police did come out, but by then they had left. Two men who were there had left. In the morning, we had people coming out to their cars to find that their tires had been slashed. He had slashed tires on 6 cars and pulled the fender off of one other car. We made more police reports. We met with the police 3 times that day. He returned the following day on Tuesday afternoon looking for his stuff. He did not come onto our property, but he was looking for his belongings that he had left in the park. He then came back again for the 3rd night on Wednesday, again looking for his things, but did not come onto our property. The problem of unhoused persons in Fischel Park has become a huge safety problem for not just our building, but for everyone in the downtown area. Since COVID, it has just gotten worse every summer. They start coming into the park when the weather turns warm around April, and then stay till about November. We call the police whenever we see something that is worthy of calling the police for, such as use of drugs or alcohol, which we see almost on a daily basis in the summer. I have photographs of people splayed out in the park. Children are playing and witnessing that. I don't know what else to say, so let me look at my notes. They feel comfortable coming to Fischel Park because they have all of the amenities that they would have if they had a residence, which is they have shelter, they have water, they have bathrooms, they have food, they have the library, and again, children playing, and also in front of the library. We are here because we no longer feel safe. And we are asking that the village please address the problem and come up with some kind of plan, because to date, there has been no plan. We have tried calling the police and making that work, but that does not work. Thank you, and I will ask anybody else who would like to stand up.
Hi, my name is Howard Van Dyke. I'm relatively new to the Downers Grove. I've lived here about 3.5 years, and I'm actually the new president of Station Crossing, which is just at the corner of the railroad tracks and Main Street. And although we have had some issues with homeless people, we have an entrance which is heated, so there's often times when the homeless people sitting there. And we have a similar situation because we have many single women that live there. They use that entrance in and out. And my understanding from a number of residences is that they've tried to ask the people to leave. They ignore it. They've called the police. The police don't seem to really have an interest in helping and stuff like that. And it has become an issue even for us, even though we did not have anything like a situation like Olga had in theirs, but it has been an issue, and so I just bring that to your attention for what it's worth. So, but the women do not feel safe in our building and leaving, and so.
Hi, my name is Paula. I am a commuter. I take the train, and several times these guys follow me to the train station at 7:15 in the morning, and I walk fast. I ignore them. I try to just, I don't want to talk to them because I don't want to engage in anything. And everybody tells me, well, they're not dangerous. They're not dangerous. Well, to me, the other day at 6:30 in the morning, there we are standing there with our cars slashed with a knife. So to me, that's very dangerous. I talked to all my, neighbors, and they said, well, call the police, file the report. I call the police, and the guy who answers the phone, he's like, well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm like, well, could you help me? I mean, I'm in fear now. This is my home. These people are, they're so disruptive. They're so loud. They just scream and party and fight. And every time we call the cops, it's like they know who's doing it, but nothing gets done. So, for the single older people who have a hard time anyways, if we can please address this, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
I too am a resident of 1110 Grove, and I continue to feel unsafe walking to the library, trying to go through the park, which is supposed to be a safe recreational area for all of us. And one of my big concerns with the escalation to vandalism, my car too, 2 tires slashed, brand new tires. And not only were my tires slashed, but then I had to have my car towed as well to the nearest facility that could repair those tires or replace them. They had to be replaced because of the amount of damage. Also, we are a community that supports them, but yet we're feeling the unsafety that is appearing because of all of our support, which we want to continue, but yet we want the community to be safe. We are building a new playground in Fischel Park. The profanity is unbelievable that you hear on a daily basis during the warm summer months and into the early winter. The children are now going to be different age children that are using the facilities there because you have upgraded, or the park district has upgraded those facilities. I don't think that's a role model that we want our children to be hearing and seeing. And along with that is we're looking at what could some of the solutions be here. You know, how can we work together as a community to solve this for the entire block of Grove, from Main Street to all the way to Carpenter? They all have children in the community. What can we do to work together to solve this problem? Thank you.
My name is Kim Micheletti. I also live at 1110 Grove. I have been cussed at, yelled at, and have witnessed unbelievable things at Fishel Park from the homeless. I've witnessed a woman and a man in a sleeping bag together in the band shell. I was cussed out about 2 weeks ago by a man because he missed the garbage can with all of his garbage, and I said, "Could you pick that up?" He cussed at me, I turned around, I went the other way. When I'm walking at night with my husband, we don't walk through the park anymore. We walk around the park. If I'm by myself, when I'm walking my dog at night, I walk on the other side of the street where it's much more well lit. But I do not go into Fishel Park at night anymore, which is really sad for a community like this. Thank you.
My name's Dennis Burns. I'm another guy at Park Grove. I just want to thank you guys for everything you're doing. I know you're trying to work on it. It's really hard. A lot of people don't understand. The cops are caught between a rock and a hard place, but we're asking that you just kind of maybe ramp it up a little bit. It really isn't safe. It's a difficult problem coast to coast. It's not just our community. Obviously, homeless is just a real, half these guys are nuts. They're on their meds or whatever. But we don't want to wait till something really bad happens. That's all.
Hi, my name is Nancy Sullivan. I live at 1110 Grove also. This isn't my first time here talking about this. I was here about 5 years ago. If you look in your archives, you'll find me. This has been an ongoing problem. And we keep calling the police, and it's like a cycle. They come out, tell us they can't do anything. And this has been going on for years. This isn't new. This is years in the making. You have to remember also, near this park are two preschools who are right near. One is right across the street. One is around at the Lutheran Church on the corner of Carpenter and Grove. And you can see they don't go in the park like they used to. They know what's in that park. They see it every day. I'm just so frustrated that I've called. If you FOIA our building, I bet you will find close to 100 calls have come from that building for the same thing, and nothing is done. I mean, I feel like nobody's listening. We're unsafe. We have a young gal who, I'm not sure who's in her 20s, who said, "I'm afraid to come home at night for fear what will I find in my parking lot." Young people don't come home at 8 o'clock. She's probably out till 10, 11, maybe after midnight. And she's scared to death to come home at night now. What will she find? They're out there all hours of the night, screaming, swearing. It's so unsafe in that park. I don't know, do parents in this town know that that's going on? Because I have gone down there like around 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and they're heavy partying already, and there's kids going through that park, and I'm afraid for them. I've actually gone down and sat on a bench and watched those children to make sure they're safe. Because they're maybe they're preteens, 10, 12, 13-year-olds. Of course they're out on their own. But do their parents know what's going on in that park? I don't think so. Because I don't think they'd let their children go to that park. They start partying around 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. They're drinking. I've seen it open drinking. I've seen them smoking pot up on the band shell. And still, years and years, and nothing's done. I'm frustrated. I'm scared and I'm frustrated. And I'm not the only one in that building that's scared and frustrated. Thank you.
Anyone else? Subjects not on tonight's agenda. Okay, before we move on, just a couple of comments. First of all, Park Grove, I'd be happy to come over and talk with you guys if you want. Let's start there. An important aspect of this whole situation is it's not uncommon for people to say something like the police won't do anything. Well, you got to think about what's being asked to do, okay? There has to be some kind of an actual crime that somebody's either willing to testify to or the police witness. So in the case of the slashed tires, as I understand it, there was an investigation. There's also been an arrest. Cussing somebody out, unfortunately, is not the behavior that's going to get you arrested. You also have to remember that there are building owners or property owners that need to be part of the solution. So property owners can call the police at any time and ask for any person to be removed from their property. That's true of the Park District, that's true of the condo building, that's true of any building downtown. So I want to come over and talk with you guys. There probably are some strategies, but everybody needs to remember it isn't going to be that guy was obnoxious to me, let's run him out of town. That isn't going to be the way a solution gets found, okay? We are absolutely wanting to be responsive, and I think if we did that for you, we'd find a lot of responsiveness. What we'd probably find is police showing up and not anything going on in the moment that was actionable. So let's set up a time to talk some more, okay?
Thank you.
All right, we have a public hearing this evening. As you know, it might have been before public comments, but now it's after. We are starting a budget process. I'll give everybody just a second. Okay, we're beginning our budget process. If you're familiar with the village budget process, it goes on for quite a bit of time.
Keep going, man.
Mike's helping me out by putting stuff up on the board. Thank you. So we're beginning that tonight, and I want to encourage everybody to participate, whether you're here tonight or watching at home or watching later. Please spend a little time on our website. You're welcome to any meetings with any kind of questions that you want. What you will see likely from this budget, if you've been following, is it essentially is kind of an evolution from our long-range planning that we've been doing for the last few months. That really drives this process. So we have a hearing this evening. So one of the first milestones we need to check off, so we'll begin that hearing. Bring this public hearing to order. This public hearing's been called by the Village Council to consider the proposed village budget. Notice of this hearing was published in the Daily Herald on October 23rd, 2025, and a certificate of publication is made a part of these proceedings. I'd like to summarize the procedures we'll follow for tonight's public hearing. First, Village Manager Dave Fieldman will provide an overview of the proposed budget. Next, there'll be an opportunity for members of the Village Council to ask questions or comments. Next will be an opportunity for members of the public to make statements or comments or to submit written statements or comments for the record. Then I'll ask again if any member of the Village Council wishes to make a statement or ask a question, and thereafter I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. At this hearing, witnesses will not be sworn, and a verbatim written transcript of the statements or testimony given at the hearing will not be prepared. Lastly, please remember this is the first of quite a few opportunities for anyone to participate in our budget process. Dave?
Thank you, Mayor. It is my privilege to present the FY26 proposed budget. As Mayor Barnett just noted, this process starts tonight, but it goes on through the middle of December. Multiple opportunities at public meetings to discuss, ask questions, what have you. It ends up with the culmination of approvals on Tuesday, December 9th. What does the council actually approve at the end of this process? Well, really two things. First, an ordinance approving the budget. And what that is really is setting a maximum spend or a maximum expense in each of the village's funds. That's what this budget ordinance does. The second thing the council approves, it's actually a series of ordinances that establish the property tax levies, the property taxes levied by the Village of Downers Grove. So those are the documents that the council will be considering in December and ultimately approving. So the presentation tonight, we'll talk a little bit about closing out our current year budget, and then we'll go through the proposed FY26 budget. The good news about the current year budget, FY25, is that we again are enjoying good performance. Our estimates show that we're tracking about $1 million to the good, driven mostly by expense savings. This allows us to transfer $1.35 million to the health fund. The council may remember that the health fund is an identified financial need that was talked about during long-range planning. So in a nutshell, we're performing well this year, which allows us to address identified needs in the health fund. After we make those transfers into the health fund, we estimate that we will close out the FY25 budget year with revenues slightly higher than expenses, with the appropriate amount of fund balance, which is about 40% of our annual expenses. So this slide is really telling us that our closeout is tracking quite well. That puts us in a really good place to start our FY26 budget. As Mayor Barnett noted, the FY26 budget process kicks off tonight, but not really. We've been talking about this as a council and a community for many months, and in some cases years. The long-range plan, which went all summer long into the fall, identified financial strategies and directions and policies that are reflected in this budget, and the guiding DG suite of plans that was undertaken over the last year and a half are also reflected in the proposed FY26 budget. So as I go through these things, if it sounds familiar to you, it's because we've already talked about them for the last several months. There are 12 key points of the FY26 budget that are shown here on the screen, and I'll say a few words about each of them as we go through the presentation. We want to first start with the fact that this FY26 proposed budget reflects revenue enhancements that the council recently approved after long discussions in the long-range plan. $4.6 million of additional revenues driven by an increase in the home rule sales tax rate and an increase in the hotel tax rate. This allows us to bolster finances in our general fund for operations, allows us to pay for capital funds, including guiding DG projects, and allows us to maintain our major buildings. The next key point is that once again, our general fund, which is our main operating fund, is sustainable with revenues slightly higher than expenses, revenues of $66.75 million, expenses of $66.5 million. And you can see at the top line of this slide, we are maintaining a fund balance just shy of 39% of budgeted annual expenses. That is the recommended amount by the rating agencies, and it's consistent with our cash balance policy. I want to take a little deeper dive and look at the revenues of $66.75 million. And I'll call your attention to the very bottom of the screen. You'll see that revenues of $66.75 million are $2.4 million greater than what we think will end FY25. That's a 3.7% increase. That increase is driven primarily by the revenues changes that you see here on this slide. First thing you'll notice is the home rule sales tax increase of $1.1 million that we talked about over the summer. The next key point here is that the revenues from the property tax levy will be going up by $441,000. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the property tax section. Income tax also continues to perform well, and that's reflected here. The hotel tax rate increase is reflected here in driving revenues, and food and beverage tax continue to perform well after a small blip at the end of 2024. So now we'll take a quick look at our general fund expenses, calling your attention to the bottom line, expenses of $66.5 million. That is a $2.5 million increase over what we estimate we will end this year. That's just shy of a 4% increase. The next key point is the total property tax levy is budgeted to increase by 2.5%. It's a total levy of $17.9 million. That $17.9 million is $441,000 more than we levied this year. That is driven entirely by increases in required contributions to public safety pensions. Those are up $941,000. But they're offset by a reduction in the levy for general operations. That levy portion is actually going down by $500,000, and that is implementing the direction that the council established over the summer that said use those new revenue enhancements to offset any increases to the property tax burden of the residents of our community. So at the end of the day, it's a 2.5% increase. And if you have a typical residential property in Downers Grove, that 2.5% increase will result in about a $20 increase on your village portion of the tax bill. So your typical house paying $789 this year, going up to about $808 next year. And everybody's thinking, well, my property tax bill is a lot more than that, and that is correct, it is. And that is because the Village of Downers Grove portion is only about 10% of your total tax bill. So a typical property has a tax bill of about $8,700. Most of those tax dollars go to other taxing bodies for things like education and other governmental purposes. So the village is about 10% of your tax bill. The next key point is this budget includes 2 additional full-time equivalent staffing positions. One position is in the communications department. The communications department does an excellent job, and we're going to give them more resources to continue to bolster their performance, focusing on enhancement of engagement of boards and commissions, additional social media posts as we launch Instagram, and messaging about important items like micro-mobility device regulations, social services referral programs, those types of things. The additional full-time equivalent position is actually 2 half-time positions in our police department, community service officers doing the types of things that they typically do. This will help our police officers on patrol enhance their patrols and better serve our community. We've been on a journey in the last 5 years to increase staffing to address the service levels directed by this council. Nearly 14 positions have been added since FY22. This budget includes $14.5 million for funding for the guiding DG plan recommendations and the priorities identified by our village council. The next 2 slides show several line items that make up that $14.5 million. A large portion of it is for funding for the downtown flexible amenity areas, the rebuilding of the Linda Kunze Plaza, and money for redevelopment projects in the Ogden TIF district. Speaking of the Ogden TIF district, this budget includes $5.2 million for further redevelopment projects. You see 3 of them there on the screen. This is part of a larger closeout process for the retirement of the Ogden TIF. We have about $7 million in fund balance to spend down over the next couple of years. We budgeted $5.2 million of that for these 3 projects. The good news is that all of the incremental property taxes that come into this Ogden TIF district will be declared surplus until this is closed out and redistributed to the underlying taxing bodies. So $1.9 million in tax increment going to all the taxing bodies. We are, of course, one of them. We're about 10% of that, so $190,000 to our general fund. This budget also includes $1 million in funding for our village facilities maintenance. This is also a priority action item. It allows us to maintain our buildings at the desirable level. Mr. Baker's been leading a team on a multi-year maintenance plan that we'll hear more about in just a couple of weeks. This budget includes $36 million in investment in our infrastructure systems. This number is about $10 million higher than usual. It reflects several things. First, there were a couple of expensive projects that were delayed from this year that we had originally planned to build this year. We're going to build them next year, so they're rebudgeted. But it also reflects in enhancements in our water system, needed and planned enhancements, so significant investment in those funds in that area. And also additional funding, that new revenue we talked about earlier, to support guiding DG recommended projects. So $8.8 million in street investments, $8.8 million in water investments, just to highlight a few. Speaking of the water system, a couple of years ago, we created a rate study and a capital plan for the water system. I just wanted to remind folks that this is year 2 of the planned rate increases to make sure we have enough money to maintain the system properly. It includes $8.8 million in capital projects to rehabilitate water tanks and provide for backup well system. And we also, this will be the year of the first of 3 planned bond issuances to make sure that we continue to invest in the system. So $13 million bond issuance. We'll spend those proceeds down over the next 3 budget years. And finally, we continue to invest in our partner organizations that serve our community. This budget reflects $1.2 million for the Economic Development Corporation and Downtown Management Corporation combined. The good news is that both of those, representatives from both of those partner organizations will be here next week to present their budget and how those funds would be used. This is a very brief overview. If you're wondering why that was so quick, please know that we have briefed every one of the council members in great detail prior to this. And if you're interested in learning more of the detail, the complete budget along with the budget message is posted online. And we have several meetings over the next 2 months if any questions come up. With that, Mayor, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Dave. Do you have any questions or comments from the village council? Martin, go ahead.
Thanks, Mayor. I just want to underscore something that Manager Fieldman already said, is that this is really the culmination of months and months and months of discussion amongst the council, input from staff and input from the community, and reflects the consensus of the council. It's really important to understand that because we'll have some questions tonight. There'll be some, we expect some questions from the audience. There'll be some conversation amongst the council. But it's really worth repeating that this is not something that we're just sort of starting out with tonight. Hey, here's a draft budget. What do we all think? This is something that's been driven by months of heavy-duty conversation about what are we going to do over the next 2 years, and that falls into two parts. Really, number one, what must we do? There's some things we have to do, like we are a service organization, so we have to pay our employees. We have to fund our pensions. We have other unfunded mandates that are dictated to us by the state. We have to maintain our infrastructure, as mentioned, streets, sidewalks, stormwater, water, just to give some examples. And then there's the overall financial sustainability that we have to have in order to have our amazing AAA bond rating here in Downers Grove, which has many benefits. So there's a whole bunch of things that we have to do, and those are reflected in this proposed budget. And then there's the what do we want to do? And the what we want to do has been going on for quite some time through the whole guiding DG process. Other examples are the Environmental Sustainability Plan, the Active Transportation Plan, Economic Development, as just mentioned, the Downtown Flexibility projects. So there's a lot of things that we don't have to do, but we like to reinvest in our community and make things better if we can, where we can within reason. And this all reflects those plans and those discussions, and in some respects, the compromises and consensus that was reached by the council. So you may not hear a whole lot more from me tonight, but I wanted to say that there's a reason for that, because everyone's heard a lot from me and each other over the last 6 months or so. And then we also had a conversation about what the revenues ought to be, because we can't just talk about the expense side, we have to talk about the revenue side, just like anybody does. And we had those meetings as well. And you may recall there were some very robust conversations on this dais amongst the council members with all sorts of ideas, thoughts, and questions regarding this various revenue sources, both existing and potential. And some we hadn't talked about in a number of years. And we had a very healthy conversation about that. So the revenue side was already addressed. I mean, this document basically reflects all that. Obviously, we're still having a conversation. We're going to have a conversation about it for the next several weeks. I know my colleagues will have questions, and things can still be changed. Nothing is finalized until it's voted on, and that won't be for another month or so. And obviously, there's plenty of opportunities for public input, questions, as well as revisions based on that. But we have arrived at this point through a very determined, focused, and interactive, consensus-driven process. So I just want to throw that out for my own sake, because I'm interested in hearing from the public, interested in hearing from my colleagues, as I know you're all interested in hearing from one another as well as the public over the next several weeks. But I think it's really worth repeating that process, because for those who may be tuning in just now and may wonder, wow, that's an awful lot of stuff, and I don't hear a lot of questions page by page by page. Oh, some of you might have questions page by page by page. But just so everyone understands that, and that's all I wanted to share, Merritt. I think that was worth highlighting with a yellow highlighter. So thank you.
Yeah, those are good comments, Martin, and I'll just add that all those previous conversations that Commissioner Tully was referring to were in this forum. And so they were not only this group, but they were the public as well. Residents participated in those conversations and were able to interact with us. You may remember those. They were whiteboard, many of them, and there was a lot of back and forth. So we certainly can help you find those if you want to see how we got here. But please know it was also more than just this group. Other council comments? Leslie, go ahead.
I promise I'm not actually going to ask all the questions of the tabs that I have here. I've already gone through it with staff. There's a lot of small things that I just had questions about, and it's all been cleared up. So if you want to talk to me about all of my tabs, you're more than welcome to, but I'm not going to do that to all of you today.
Don't want to discourage you.
But the general statements that I had, though, is that I really do appreciate that we have this slow increase in staff. You know, after about a decade of cutting back, I'm really happy that in the last few years we've really invested in bringing folks back so that there's not as much risk of burnout from the folks who are doing some very hard work. In this budget, there's also a lot of thoughtful detail to sustainability. A lot of really good opportunities to engage in some of those guiding DG projects without too much risk, as you know we discussed, not going out, not taking any risks in terms of interest rates moving forward. The one area that I am still a little bit concerned, you know, and I've talked about it several times, is the ambulance fees. Having them flat, I know the rationale is that we kind of don't know what's going to be happening, but as somebody who does work in the healthcare space, there's a lot of concern that there's going to be even deeper Medicaid and Medicare cuts. So that could really impact our ambulance fees. So that's just something that I think we should keep an eye on as we move forward. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Else? Chris, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Can you go back to the slide where the $1.5 million in the good showed that? We had talked a little bit about sort of what made up the personnel, the professional, I guess, they were expenses that we didn't spend, that we budgeted for last year and didn't spend. Part of that is personnel, and I think one of the questions that I didn't ask that I wanted to ask was, is that a common thing? I can't remember over the years seeing that much. I think what we talked about, maybe $800,000 in personnel costs that we didn't spend. Is that a typical rollover that we might see year after year?
It's a little high this year, but it is typical in a sense that 75% or so of our total budget is personnel-related expenses. So when we're coming in under budget, it's almost always driven primarily by that. It's a little high this year. The other years it's been a couple hundred to 5 or 6. 800 is a little bit higher. So of that $1.5 million better than budget, about 800, give or take, estimated from personnel expenses, professional services, about $300,000 lower than budget. We didn't spend all of the money on the guiding DG consultants. And then about $300,000 on professional or contractual services. We had planned to pay for some network maintenance in our new Civic Center. It turns out that was covered for the first year. So we budgeted for it, and it was already paid for through the project. So,
Thank you for that. And to Leslie's point about sort of staffing up, that's not an indication of us having a lack of support in those areas. It's just how it worked out in terms of turnover and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are committed to full staffing.
Yep.
As Commissioner Sadowski Fuga talked about, for a variety of reasons, most of which is just provide the service.
Yeah.
So there's some vacancies that took a little longer to fill. We're actively looking to fill every vacancy.
Great. I appreciate that. I don't have a whole lot more to add now other than to say I agree with my colleagues here in terms of all the investment that I think is on the positive. I think we're going over priority action items. I was wondering where all the guiding DG work was. Well, here it is right in front of us. And so I'm pleased with that and look forward to maybe fine tuning some of these things as we have discussions. But overall, I'm very pleased with how this is shaping up. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mark, you have something else?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to add some additional context because I am also glad that we are reacting to staff's request to staff appropriately to what the needs are of the community as laid out by the various planning documents that are developed and adopted by the village council. I do want to say, though, that, and I have not been on the council for each of the last 10 years, but for the last 10 years when I was on the council, I cannot recall a time when staff asked us for more staff that this council denied funding for it. It was always my understanding that if staff thought that there was a risk or a problem of not being able to deliver the high-quality services this community deserves and expects, that there would be a request for additional staffing, and in fact, those requests were made. and additional staffing was added. This is another example of that, in my opinion. That doesn't mean that there hasn't been a request over time for, if a position is vacated due to attrition, not because someone was terminated, but due to attrition, there was first a request, can that position or that function continue without another FTE? And in many cases, the staff, through innovation, through ingenuity, and through just good old excellence, was able to do that without sacrificing the level of services. Now, the level of services that we have in this community are dictated by the village council with the input of the community. If the level of service changes and we need more staffing, well, then of course we need to add more staffing. So I only wanted to add that additional context because I see this as another example of where staff has said, in order to accomplish the goals that have been laid out by the village council, here's the appropriate staffing level. And this council is supporting that, which to me is no different than what we've been doing for the last 10, 15 years. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we will be back in case council dreams up some questions in the next 5 minutes. Any comments or questions from the audience on this item, on this 26 budget?
I'll just make the comment that I would encourage the council to consider the idea of consolidating the information it makes available to residents in terms of the impact of the various, not just budgetary matters, but the fees that are under council influence as well. The water fee, the waste collection fee, all those sorts of things. And in the process, consider also not just providing that number as an average, like was done in terms of the property tax value impact that was mentioned in the presentation here, but to look at whatever are deemed appropriate categories of residents in order to provide them the information of the kind of the impact of the cost increases that are likely to occur given the discussions that we're having, both about the budget and about the various other elements of services provided by the council directly or its agencies that it hires. Thank you.
Any other audience comments or questions regarding the budget? Okay, we will be back probably 5, 6 more times.
And just in closing, the next opportunity for public input is unique to Downers Grove. It is a resident, general public-driven conversation about the budget, whatever anybody wants to talk about. Happens right here on Saturday morning from 9 to 10, coffee with the council in these chambers. So whatever anybody would like us to talk about related to the budget.
Any final comments or questions from village council? We put just a finer point on Dave's comment and invitation. If you've never been to Coffee with the Council with the budget, it is riveting. But importantly, it also is truly open-ended and free-flowing. So literally, we are here, some group of us, as is always typical with the Coffee with the Council, and any questions that anyone has, we will get into them. Sometimes they're answered there, sometimes we have to get back to people, sometimes they create discussions in the moment. But it is sort of the opposite of what we've got tonight. It's just show up and what's on your mind, we'll discuss it. We try pretty hard to make this thing super transparent and create situations where people can be engaged and involved how they're comfortable on their time. So next opportunity is this Saturday, and you're all welcome. All right, we will consider this hearing adjourned and move on with the balance of our council agenda tonight. Item 6 is a consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Mayor Barnett, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That passes unanimously. Item 7 is our active agenda. This is the portion of the meeting where we take up items on which we plan to take formal action tonight. These are items that have been discussed at least once before, sometimes many times before. Again, these are items on which we plan to take action this evening. Is there a motion concerning a right-of-way?
Mayor Barnett, I move to adopt an ordinance vacating a portion of an unimproved public right-of-way adjacent to 523 Ogden Avenue.
Second.
Are any council or audience questions or comments about this vacation? Council comments or questions? Rosa, please call the roll.
Commissioner Tully,
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski Fugit,
Aye.
Commissioner Rowe,
Aye.
Commissioner Sarver,
Aye.
Commissioner Davenport,
Aye.
Commissioner Gilmartin,
Aye.
Mayor Barnett.
Aye, that passes unanimously. As we begin to take up the next item on our active agenda, this is our solid waste contract. Because there has been so much attention paid to this and quite a few twists and turns along the way, I've asked staff to just give us a brief summary of where we are. Mike?
Thank you, Mayor. With just a few slides to provide an update to the council and the community on this process. This is information that comes directly from the staff report, so if you read that staff report, it should look very familiar. From a process standpoint, this represents the 6th public meeting where this topic has been discussed, going back to May of this year. We began the process with a draft request for proposal that council reviewed, ultimately approved before it was released. That resulted in responses from 5 providers that gave us proposals for a series of options that they proposed pricing, and that information was extensively reviewed and considered at the subsequent meetings where the options and the providers were narrowed down to the point where at the last meeting, direction was provided to consider 2 of the providers, Republic and LRS, with a program. The council provided direction to make some refinements to the manner in which that program was structured and priced. Specifically, there were 3 objectives that we were working to achieve, which included elimination of an additional a bag of garbage or personal container that would not have any stickers required. Another objective, increasing the spread between the 35 and 95 gallon carts. And then third objective, reducing the senior discount pricing. As I explain the program attributes, you'll see how that appears. So the program that we are looking at currently between the 2 providers has the following attributes. Essentially, all the households that are served under the contract would select a cart size of their preference, could be 35, 65, or 95 gallon, and they could choose differing sizes of refuse and recycling cart, again, to meet their needs. Senior discount pricing would apply to all of the cart sizes. Additionally, households can dispose of 2 of the following during the regular pickup, and there would not be stickers that would have to be placed on either a bulk item and a white good, or 2 of either of those categories. Where stickers would come into play is for additional cans or bags that a household would put out in addition to what fit in the cart. So as we discussed it with both of the providers, this was the most effective mechanism for providing this feature of the contract, using stickers for just this purpose when the amount of garbage that somebody would dispose of exceeded the capacity of the cart. In addition, the Amnesty Day program would be permanently eliminated. The program would also enhance the organics and yard waste features. In one way, it would do that by providing all households the ability to receive, if they wanted one, a cart for yard waste and organics at no additional cost. If they didn't want that additional cart, they could still dispose of that material in biodegradable bags or by bundling a brush. And again, no stickers would be required for the disposal of that organic material or yard waste. That program for organics would occur year-round, not just during the, it wouldn't stop during the winter months. So when the contract goes into effect, it would allow pickup once every other week during the months between mid-December and the end of March. The program also has a village-wide opt-in features for household hazardous waste and electronics recycling that the council could choose if it so desires. And in terms of pricing, this table, which again comes straight from the staff report, shows the base price comparison compared to current the prices shown on the left, and then the base prices for Republic and LRS in year one of the contract, which would take effect on April 1st of 2026. And those are monthly prices, again, for the cart rental based on the refuse cart size that is selected. And then you can see the sticker prices there. Those prices for both of the providers would increase at 4%. And this would, the term of the contract would be for 6 years. Again, a brief summary of the information that's in the staff report, but happy to answer any other questions council may have.
Thank you, Mike. It is just as a reminder to everyone watching, again, if you're tuned in for the first time maybe tonight, this has been, as Mike described, quite a process. There has been a lot of public input, both in these meetings, in these forums, as well as one-on-one with council, and then I know we've also received a lot of email. So the good news is there's been a lot of input. I don't know, like anything else, there's going to be some mix of people that think it's great and some that think it's not so great. But please know that this process getting here, it's an important part of the services that the village helps facilitate. And it's something that affects everyone's lives every single day. So we're attuned to that and alert to that, and have spent quite a bit of time trying to get to this spot. So with that, is there a motion from the council?
Mayor, I make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing execution of a solid waste contract with Republic Services, not including household hazardous waste and electronics, and not including the household hazardous waste option. I'm sorry, that was it. Sorry. And electronic recycling options for an additional $2 per month.
I'll second.
Okay. Everybody understand what that is? If you look in the packet of information and the stuff that Mike just went through, as well as what's online, we're down to sort of two potential suppliers to this, or vendors to this, Republic Services and LRS. There are, in addition to that, there were a couple of optional services that may or may not be added. The motion does not include those additional pickups, which are household hazardous waste and electronics. Any audience comments or questions on this item?
David Rose. Basic points. 1, this contract and discussion of its features have next to nothing to do with sustainability. 2, we have little to no reason to believe the cost of disposing of waste has any impact on the amount of resources a household consumes and the amount of waste it generates. 3, nor has council shown the political courage typical of council generally to charge at a rate that would have such an impact. As I pointed out numerous times, doing so would completely contradict council's primary goal of generating revenue from property tax and taxing of resource consumption more generally. In other words, council members don't dare do anything that risks a political backlash that may throw them out of office. Council's cowardice is also obvious from the fact that the discussion about the new contract provides no historical information on the total amount of trash collected. I may be wrong, but I suspect such data would show an increase, likely a significant one, and one due directly to the actions of the primary culprit, council itself, and its constant push for more growth. Neither council nor Public Services has provided any information on the distribution of current subscriptions by container size or on the income currently generated by sticker users compared to the projected income generated by forcing those households onto a monthly subscription billing basis. Such information, I would presume, is readily available for the current village population profile. Why was no one on staff tasked to compute the financial impact of the proposed method of billing? If council does not have the information needed to do that calculation, then it's hardly positioned to be an effective negotiator on behalf of residents. As part of its deception, council cast this contract not as one striving to reduce total resource consumption and waste, but it's one trying to shift the relative amounts going to landfill versus getting recycled. From a resident's financial standpoint, the distinction is immaterial. The proposed contracts are mainly about increasing and making more predictable the income for the trash collection service chosen for the tasks. This is self-evident from the bidder's refusal to allow a pay-to-throw option and instead force everyone in the village, notably the 35% currently using stickers, to pay a monthly fee regardless of the amount of trash such a household generates. Furthermore, the claim that the recyclable component continues to be free is a blatant misrepresentation. Charging a single amount for the two aspects of collection hides the independent costs of each, and neither the bidders nor council and staff have chosen to break out those numbers. The proposed shift in billing approach clearly follows the pattern adopted by other utility-type entities, including the village, I might note, who adopted this approach for similar financial reasons. They need to have a predictable revenue stream to pay for capital costs, regardless of the variable cost, the actual demand associated with the service. The financial predictability the provider desires then begs the question why contract terms should allow some portion of residents to opt out of paying the base amount because they do not live in the village for a substantial amount of time for some reason. Are Snowbird residents permitted to opt out of paying the sewer bill, the stormwater fee, or the water bill? If opting out is to be allowed in this case, why not in the others? If the opt-out option is allowed, will anyone be able to use it and for any reason? How flexible will the opt-out option be? What opt-out provisions are fair? What of these provisions is actually legal? Why is a senior discount the preferred and potentially only method for trying to reduce some of the financial pain of the new approach? Council heard from at least one family not eligible for a senior discount who pointed with pride to the small amount of trash they generate. The proposed new approach forces that family to pay a monthly fee amount whose amount they have no way to assess for its fairness. Instead of treating this family as a model for others to follow, council treats them as a political liability about which members have little to worry compared to the presumably greater number of households who are major generators of trash whom council does not want to anger by charging them much, much more for their greater rate of waste production. This political cowardice is analogous to council's refusal to tax car ownership and operation in any but the most minimal fashion. The proposed contracts have nothing to do with promoting sustainability in Downers Grove, which properly understood means attaining and maintaining a sustainable rate of resource consumption. Thus far, neither council nor residents have shown any desire to address that objective. My repeated efforts over the years to educate councils and thereby residents of a scientifically sound understanding compared to council's bastardized and inadequate notions fall on deaf ears. This contract is clear evidence that neither council nor residents have a clue of the need or a desire to reduce resource consumption to a sustainable rate. A billing system that charges an equal base amount and does not charge for increased consumption at a steeply progressive rate clearly does not discourage the consumption of resources by households who are the greatest beneficiaries of the system as a whole. Of course, under capitalism, consumers are typically encouraged to consume more by being offered a reduction in the per unit price, which is exactly what we see in the difference between the various gallons available in these proposals. From what I see, in other words, these contracts are a wonderful example of the problem of rising inequality in the U.S. and the associated tragedy that politicians at every level of government are afraid to confront and redress it. To repeat what I've observed repeatedly, the American way of living, including here in Downers Grove, is not ecologically sustainable. These contract proposals show council and residents have no idea how, and therefore no intention to move toward an ecologically sustainable way of living. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Barnett and Council. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. My name is Katie Neri. I'm with LRS. I would be the representative, should you change your mind, Rob, on this opportunity before you. So I wanted to let you know, I'm especially honored to be here. I started my career in Downers Grove over 25 years ago at a company called Rott's Disposal, if any of you are familiar, which later became BFI, and then now Republic Services. I've been fortunate to work across the country, even internationally, learning every aspect of waste management and recycling. So for me, it's quite nostalgic to stand here tonight where it all began. So we view this as a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a strong partnership between LRS and the Village of Downers Grove. One focused on sustainability, innovation, and community service. What a partnership for Downers Grove means with LRS is that while the cost is important, LRS remains flexible with our rates and committed to keeping rates sustainable throughout the duration of the agreement. The village's goal of providing a low-cost, equitable program for seniors and low-income households has already been achieved, and both groups will benefit from an excellent program model regardless of the cart size. That's a tremendous accomplishment. Hats off to all of you. And it's worth noting that this achievement came about because of the alternate proposal originally presented by LRS, which shows how we collaborate and create value. Why we are the ideal partner for Downers Grove? We've transitioned many neighboring communities, often from providers who have served them for decades. And we've learned that fresh eyes with the notification process makes a difference. In one nearby community, we found widespread wish cycling, we'll call it. Residents putting items like plastic grocery bags and bottle wraps into recycling, and that's probably what is taking place here. We're now working with DuPage County and Reynolds to create a program model with Hefty Renew. We're doing it in Lake County where we can accept things like soft plastics. And that is the real solution is ultimately education, but it's also providing convenient options. So education is something LRS truly invests in. Our commitment to you is if you choose LRS tonight, you'll have a partner deeply engaged in resident education. You'll have new carts made from recycled materials with visual labels that have pictures of what is and is not recyclable, which is unique to LRS. It may be listed with other companies, but the pictures are not there. The year-round organics program, also made possible through our alternate proposal, will include its own illustrated lids as well. Plus, our continued outreach through our partnership with Recycle Coach, QR codes on the carts, cart hangers, and a customer web portal customized specifically for Downers Grove. We don't believe in a cookie cutter approach. We design programs for your community. We are headquartered just 30 minutes away, and it makes a difference to have a local service provider. However, we have a strong financial foundation as well. I've personally helped develop our household hazardous waste and electronic waste recycling program, and I'm proud to share a lot of the materials collected through our HHW program are recycled or reused, as well as electronic waste. For Downers Grove, we've included 6 electronic drop-off events, along with the optional household hazardous waste program that would cover, paint, syringes, lithium batteries, and more, keeping those harmful things out of the trucks in the landfill. So we know change can be challenging, so we take a gentle but consistent approach to education. If contamination is found, we leave an informative notice, not a fine, and residents appreciate that guidance most often. LRS is fully prepared for a smooth, community-wide rollout. We have done dozens of them. With new trucks, educational carts, we are ready to go. So looking ahead, every LRS cart will also come equipped with an RFID chip, and that is ready to be activated once the technology is finalized. We have rolled that program out in Wheaton. It's taken some tweaking, and we are almost to the point where we are ready to roll that out for a community, and Downers Grove is ideal for that type of program. When I started at Rott's Disposal in the 90s, there were dozens of independent haulers. Today, only a few large companies remain, most publicly traded, most owning landfills. We are the only independent and locally headquartered service provider with a landfill, but we're also raising the bar. LRS is different. We do own a landfill, but our goal is not to fill it. Our goal is to change habits and keep recyclables out of it. We would be honored to benchmark recycling similar to what we've recently done with Oak Park, with Downers Grove, and measure improvements over time. LRS is proud to be the only service provider to have ever received the Illinois Sustainability Award for 2 consecutive years in a row. And our material recovery facilities have been recognized nationally. Just recently, our 2024 Award of the Year for the Facility of the Year. Our people have also been recognized, 3 of whom are here tonight, have great achievements for being, 40 under 40 award winners. And also our CEO, Matt Spencer, who's here tonight, was also just named the nation's best and brightest CEO. That says a lot about the team you have before you. As my colleague Josh Connell said, we are creative, and that creativity is reflected in what you are voting on tonight. An inclusive, convenient, and forward-thinking program model. You are not just voting on a service contract, you are voting and choosing a partner tonight. We will work with you on the rates, but the real question isn't who is the cheapest, it's who's the best partner for Downers Grove. Thank you for your time and consideration. It would be an honor to serve you, and that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor and Village Board and Village staff. My name is Tish Powell. I am the Manager of Municipal Sales with Republic Services. First of all, I want to thank you for your diligence through this process. It's been a lot, as Mayor Barnett pointed out. Just want to highlight a couple of things about our proposal. We've heard you all the times that we've been here and all the conversations. We feel that we presented a proposal to the village that reflected the input of the board and what we heard when we came to these meetings. Our proposal not only meets but exceeds the village's expectations for service quality, environmental sustainability, and economic value. We are the low-cost, best value leader and service provider. We have the lowest senior rate for all 3 cart sizes, and it beats LRS's price by as much as $4.17 a month, depending on cart size. Republic Services has the lowest rate on the 64-gallon trash cart, which is the most popular cart size, and we anticipate that that will remain so under the new program. I will also point out that our proposal included providing new recycling carts to new customers that either have the imprint or recycling imprint on the lid, advising people on what they can recycle, or a sticker on the lid advising people what they can recycle. That was in our original proposal, and that still remains. A couple of different scenarios that really show the value that we provide in our proposal. Under scenario number 1, where all sticker users and seniors select a 35-gallon trash cart, the savings with Republic Services compared to LRS is 38 cents a month per household, equating to a village-wide savings of $67,000, just over $67,000 annually, and over $400,000 over the life of the contract. Under the second scenario, recognizing that 35-gallon carts won't necessarily be the ideal solution for all households, if 50% of current sticker users and 33% of seniors select a 65-gallon trash cart, the savings with Republic Services compared to LRS, it jumps to 56 cents per month and equates to a village-wide savings of over $100,000 annually and over $600,000 over the term of the contract. And finally, under the last scenario, the savings becomes even more significant when 50% of the current 95-gallon trash cart users downsize to a 65-gallon cart, which, again, from listening to everyone and the environmental sustainability goals, the goal is to get people to downsize to a smaller cart and use less waste. That produces an annual cost difference of about $108,000 village-wide annually, and close to $650,000 in savings over the term of the contract. Those are the main items I wanted to cover, but there are a couple of other things that I think really set us apart from our competition. Understanding the village's sustainability goals, we have offered to provide $5,000 annually to the village's sustainability initiatives. We are the only finalist with a downloadable app that allows residents to pay their bill, put their service on hold, add additional services 24/7. That's in addition to our website. You get continuity with us. We've been your service partner for a number of years, and you've heard directly from your residents that they are highly pleased with the service that they receive from us. That's not an easy feat to achieve. And finally, as your current service provider, there's little to no disruption because we're here. The added benefit of that is under this new proposed program, we could actually start delivering recycling carts to the sticker customers based on what their choices are prior to the start date. We don't have to necessarily wait until April 1st. So with that, I will leave you, but on behalf of the 200 plus employees that work out of our Northwest Chicago service division for Republic Services, we are proud to be a partner with the village, and we look forward to continuing that partnership, and we hope that you will vote in favor of the motion that was made earlier tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Eric Pear. I'm the general manager for Republic Services. I want to thank Tish for all the hard work through this RFP process. She's done an absolutely phenomenal job. Every time she's come up here at these meetings and spoke, she's presented our proposals phenomenally and has really been through this grind with all of us. And I want to again thank all of you for the diligence in reviewing all of these proposals. I don't want to belabor the point too much, but I do want to reiterate, the decision factors here are cost value overall for the community, and then specifically looking at the seniors as well, environmental sustainability, and then the service quality and continuity. We feel very strongly and confidently that Republic Services wins in all three of those categories. If you look at the financial analysis and the pricing, Republic Services is the undisputed cost leader. From an environmental sustainability standpoint, we provided a lot of information to make sure that we were giving you the data and the information necessary to make this decision. I just wanted to hit on a couple of those points really quick. It was stated at the last discussion that the diversion rate in Downers Grove under Republic was around 25 to 30%. That number is not accurate. In the 2024 DuPage County Sustainability Report, that number is 35% here in Downers Grove, which is above the average amongst DuPage County communities of 33.5%, and it's in the top 10 of DuPage County communities. It was also stated that the LRS had recycling recovery rates approaching 90%. We have not seen where that information has been independently verified. We provided information today. The facility that we use through Waste Management, which also won that same award in 2021, the MRF of the year, is at a 84% recovery rate, which is well above industry standards. That is a number that has been verified through robust sustainability reporting and third-party certifications that are expected of publicly traded companies like Waste Management. So we feel from a recycling perspective, we're very, very competitive in that regard as well. And then finally, on the service quality and continuity, why is Republic Services the ideal partner? Because we already are, right? We're here, we've been here for 17 years, and we feel that we are a part of the community, and we look forward to continuing to be a part of the community here. So thank you.
Good evening, Downers Grove Commissioners, Mayor Barnett, and village staff. My name is Joy Rifkin, and I'm the Director of Sustainability at LRS. And my passion really lies on the intersection of education and sustainable climate action. I started my career as a 7th and 8th grade science teacher at Chicago Public Schools, where I first made my connection to LRS. Chicago Public Schools is hauled by LRS, and my students wanted to understand, what does it mean to throw something away? Where does it go and who does it impact? And our driver graciously provided an interview and helped to inform our school-wide recycling initiative. After teaching, I worked for New York City Public Schools Office of Sustainability, launching the nation's largest zero waste schools program. By the end of my 5 years in New York City, all 1,800 New York City public schools were outfitted with uniform sorting stations, diverting organics, compost, and recycling. I was drawn back to the Midwest, and specifically LRS, because they do things differently. LRS has a board-approved net zero plan. We track our greenhouse gas emissions, and they're third-party verified. We think of sustainability holistically, not just around waste diversion and recycling. I encourage everyone here to look at our annual sustainability report because it highlights these efforts in a balanced and transparent way. We're not required to share this information, but we do so because transparency, clarity, and public goals build trust. Downers Grove cares tremendously about sustainability. I was really impressed with the village's environmental sustainability plan. In your plan, in the material and resources section, you would highlight the importance of education and the fact that waste has an impact far beyond Downers Grove. I also loved that culture was at the center of your plan. Culture change takes communication and education. LRS knows our work in sustainability goes hand in hand with education. It takes that concerted education to reduce the 2 times as much landfill waste as recyclables that's currently happening in Downers Grove. We have an education resource library that's built to excite and lift the veil on waste and recycling services. Our commitment to holistic sustainability is tandem with education, and I really believe it will help move the needle in Downers Grove. I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mayor Barnett and Commissioners. My name is George Strom, Area Vice President for LRS. First of all, I wanted to thank you for the opportunity for letting us be here tonight. On behalf of LRS, we would be honored to be selected as the service partner for Downers Grove. I lead the Chicago area for, I obviously lead the Chicago area for LRS, and I've been in the waste and recycling industry for my whole life. Growing up in a family-owned waste company, I've personally overseen dozens of municipality rollouts. including our most recent successes in Elgin, Wilmette, and as of yesterday, the city of Evanston. I consider municipal relationships the most important relationship we have as a service provider. And I want you to know, I'm here for your community day or night. I live just down the road. LRS has proven time and time again that we are the leader in complex rollouts. Due to the changes in this program, both companies will be managing a transition. No provider in Illinois has completed more successful municipal rollouts than LRS. And this program will require a well-orchestrated, resident-focused rollout. I can assure you that we are ready. LRS has a dedicated municipal support team, some of whom you've already met, an easy online portal, live local phone assistance, ensuring every single household gets the right service with confidence and care. The LRS approach has been flexible, resident-focused, and most importantly, Downers Grove first. Throughout this process, you've emphasized how passionate this community is, and I want you to know we are a very passionate company. We initiated the conversation around the yard waste cart. We offered a year-round composting program. We brought forward option 4, reflecting our core belief that no towns are the same. We don't believe in one-size-fits-all solutions. We believe in creating the most successful program for your unique community. Our leadership in sustainability, I believe, does set us apart. LRS was first to market with curbside composting, first to roll out a year-round composting program. And on the recycling side, we operate more recycling sorting facilities in the Chicago market than any service provider. We're actively working on hard-to-recover plastics that currently are lost in your waste stream. So we've partnered with Hefty to test a new bag-based capture program that is going on already at some of our MRFs, and one we would like to share with your community and DuPage County, which would be exclusive to LRS. This is what I consider true local leadership in sustainability. The LRS program is affordable and inclusive with unmatched environmental value. Personally, I'm especially proud of the $1.25 household hazardous waste program, which offers residents unlimited at-home services for materials that most haulers ask for you to drop off or find some way to get rid of. If you are to factor that service in, our program offers composting, electronics, hazardous waste, which I believe then LRS becomes the most affordable, full-service option for all of the 3 cart sizes that we offer. We're also, I believe, well within range on the senior rates, and if needed, we're happy to match any 35-gallon senior rate to ensure equity across all households. That would allow that large spread that you had been talking about. So I believe that we're ready to serve Downers Grove. Tonight, our CEO, Matt Spencer, is here with me, a reflection of how serious we take this opportunity. I think Katie said it best earlier that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I would really like the opportunity to share it with you. We're committed to being the partner that you'd select with your board, your staff, and your residents that could be proud of. So for that, I'd just like to say thank you for your time, your leadership, your discussion. The last several months have been very encouraging. I've been through a lot of these RFPs, winning some, losing some, but I've never witnessed a board that was more leaned in to have a conversation about waste and recycling. And for that alone, I want to say thank you.
Good evening. How are you? When you walk by a garbage container or a cart, you never think so much passion goes into it. So thank you so much. My name's Matt Spencer. I'm the CEO and board director for LRS, and I'm the last one for LRS. You know, one of the things about going last and working with such wonderful, talented, passionate people, there's not a whole lot of great stuff left to say, but I agree. This has been a really good process, and we hope you and all of your residents are happy at the end of it. So there's a lot of good providers in Chicago, and certainly the incumbent for Downers Grove is a very good one. They service my town, which is just a few miles away. My wife was actually telling me last night that our recycle driver was so nice and so friendly, and he helped direct her on how we're supposed to handle our cart because we're new to town. And it's like, yeah, that's our industry. It's full of great people. So you do have a good provider, and I'm sure they'll continue to give you, as they pointed out, a good cost and a good consistent service. But if you're ready for something different and you're ready to make the change, LRS has been named, and it's quantitative, that we're the fastest growing privately held company in the Midwest. We service more towns than any other provider in the western suburbs. Again, that's quantitative. You can look that up and count that. And again, a lot of the haulers do a good, solid job. They collect you, you get the bill on time, they do a good job. So what do we do different? Sustainability. Sustainability is something everybody in our industry talks about. It's on every website. It's in every brochure. It's the collateral, the packets we turned in. Everybody has something about sustainability. What I believe is different with LRS is we not only talk the talk, we walk the walk. We put our money where our mouth is. We invest in recycling. We have more recycling infrastructure than any other provider in Chicago. Again, that's quantitative. We believe it. We're willing to try things, even if we don't make money the first go around. We've been first to market on many sustainable efforts, and we'll continue to do that. And we love Downers Grove to partner with us on that journey. Second, our sponsor I've worked with over a decade, Macquarie. They're the largest infrastructure fund in the world. They love our sector. They love sustainability. They have 10 waste companies all over the world. I was actually a part of one of their first companies where we wrote the pilot and the script for what we wanted to be, and they believe in what we're doing. They helped us build our industry award-winning facility here in Chicago. And then last, it always boils down to one thing: your people. You heard some of our best and brightest. They've been recognized in the industry. You heard them speak tonight. We're nimble, we're lean, we focus on the power of local, and we want to get things done for you. When you want something, you want to pilot something, you want to try something out, you need an investment, you don't have to call somebody that calls somebody that calls somebody. Just call us. It's the people in this room. We make the decisions, and we would be honored to make a change with you and take Downers Grove to the future of sustainability. We'd be honored to be your partner. Thank you so much for your time tonight. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Anyone else? Okay, before we get to the council, I want to clear up a couple of things. Feel like it's important to do so. Whatever path we take this evening is going to include additional efforts towards sustainability, towards working in some of the important goals in our sustainability plan as a community. Whatever path we take is going to create a situation where there are financial incentives to people to throw away less, frankly. And it's important, I think, to understand that when you talk about sustainability, we'll talk about this, forever, because it's an important thing, and it's the kind of goal you never actually accomplish. But there are realities within the world that you have today in front of you. So, for instance, if you just said, I don't ever want to use gas in a vehicle again, that's great. Go find me your electric ladder truck, and we'll make sure we do rescues well. There are some realities that we all live with. And so a lot of pieces of sustainability are built into this plan. Repudiating or walking away from capitalism, it isn't one of them. But there are a lot of them in here. And I think it's really important for the village and our residents to understand that is a big part of what drove this entire process. Irrespective of exactly which way we go tonight, there is a lot of good and improvement in how this community handles waste going forward. And it's all focused on reductions in total volume and moving more to the recycling chain. So I just think that's an important thing to say, because everybody will get hung up in the moment on how one piece of this affects them. My sticker costs more, or my can costs more, or I've got to do something different. There is real change here that is beneficial, and I think it's worth, before you take whatever decision's made tonight and you run to next door tomorrow, maybe watch some of the meetings that got us to this point and spend a little time with our environmental sustainability plan. So with that, council members have a comment or a question?
This is my motion, so I'll go first.
Go ahead.
So first, getting to this point, I think this last update is what got me to push for this motion. These updates that we received, both updates, I think hit the bullseye for me with the. We removed the additional bags. We increased the senior benefits, and we increased the span. Those were all the things that I wanted to see. So we're creating the rewards here that we were hoping to see the last time. We see it here. I think first we need to recognize that our cart users are 67% of our residents already. And I think that every one of them will be very pleased with either of these contracts. I think with the new spread that we have, the senior benefits, I think the vast majority of our sticker users will be happy. I don't know if we'll get all of them, but I think we'll get the vast majority. I think in 6 months, 3 months, the vast majority of Downers Grove residents will be happy with this decision, whichever way we go. What we're trying to do here is create a community policy for everyone. And what we're trying to do is to reduce the amount of waste we're sending. And we're trying to do that at the same time with creating the best value we can and the best service. And I think that's where my issue with these two contracts is, why do I prefer Republic over LRS? And it comes down to customer service. The number one reason is, everyone I hear from is, I don't want you to change from Republic. So I need a pretty good reason to want to change there. I think staying with Republic will also make the easiest transition, especially since we're asking for a policy change to move away from stickers. And I have to say, I've had my own experience with LRS and their customer service, and I've been very disappointed in my own interactions with LRS with their customer service. So I can't in good conscience accept a service contract with somebody I'm not 100% convinced has good customer service, especially when I'm being told our service provider is our preferred provider. So these are all the reasons why I made my motion tonight. And I'm hoping we can pass this, because I do believe that this is the best course forward for our village.
What else? Tammy?
First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for their hard work, staff, my colleagues. I can't ever imagine having to read thousands of pages about garbage ever again, and hope I never have to. But I've learned a lot, and I really do think that we have worked in the best interest of our community. There are no ulterior motives here. There's no gain for council up here in the decision that we make. And I want to thank both of the proposals. I think that you both did a great job in trying to meet the needs of this community. However, I too agree with Rob that Republic meets our needs better. And what I mean by that is better for the bulk of the community, the 67% that still do rely on traditional cart service, and those that are going to have to adjust to the change away from stickers. It's a reality, and I think this plan helps those that are going to have to face that reality, face it the best. And so again, I want you all to know that we've really worked hard on this. Nothing has been made or decided in haste, seeing that this goes back to May. And I just wanted to publicly voice my support of Commissioner Rowe's motion as well. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Okay.
Mayor?
All right.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I too want to extend a thank you to both LRS and Republic for your continued interest in working with our village, and I want to thank staff and my colleagues for working through this. It's been, I think, a thoughtful and thorough process, and I think it's benefited. It's going to benefit the village. I definitely don't look at tonight as just looking to renew a garbage contract. To me, it's more about taking a step towards meaningful sustainability and really putting our environmental sustainability plan in action, because that's what I think we've talked a lot about with a lot of the planning that we do, is how do we implement it. This is all about how we are managing our waste, our recycling, our organics, and I think it will in turn be simpler, fairer in cost, and I think help us achieve our longer term goals. I do want to make sure that there are some facts about the new proposals that our residents understand, and a few reasons why moving to these types of all-inclusive is the right thing to do tonight. The first answer, first of all, is these are far more cost-effective for the majority of our residents. If we looked at staying with our continued program, which was referred to as option 1 in the past, option 1 would cost about $31 million over 6 years. Transitioning to either of the plans that we're talking about tonight, LRS or Republic, would reduce about $5 to $6 million over the course of the next 6 years. So to me, either way we go, I think it's a win. That's about $350 per household. And when we look at our neighbors in Downers Grove, which LRS and Republic also serve in DuPage County, various municipalities, the rates that we're getting are like low mid-tier. Like we are in sort of the bottom third, I think, of what we're paying compared to others, whether we go with LRS or Republic. I think that's great. A lot of that savings is coming in the reduction of costs on the various cart sizes. I think they were all lower. The 95-gallon was a little bit higher, and I think the intention there was the spread, something I'm not exactly sure why we got into, but that's for another day. The other part is eliminating the yard waste cart rental fees. So we've got about 630 people in town that rent a $22 to $28 cart a month. That being included in these cart costs now will save about a little over $1 million in over 6 years. And that doesn't even count those who are using stickers for yard waste, which I think is probably the majority. All of that cost savings will be applied to all of us now. To me, that's a huge win. Adding also in those organic service at no additional charge. The free bulk and white good collection that used to cost us lots of stickers is now included. And then we just have a lot of new features that I think are important to highlight with this plan. The year-round organics, plastics number 7 being accepted. Currently, we're not that's not part of our current plan. Both came back with, I think, strong senior discounts across all cart sizes. And then, of course, our seasonal holds, which we currently have, will continue. And some education around that, I think, probably will be helpful, but that's great to know. Now, we know that our light and the lightest sticker users will see increases. And I think those impacts have been softened with the introduction of both the senior discount and a low-income discount, which one of the providers offered. It equates to about 2 or 3 stickers a month. And to me, I think that helps ensure that those who are maybe on fixed incomes can benefit from this, and the option to pause seasonally also helps a segment of our folks. But I do support the LRS proposal for a couple of reasons. One, I simply think they have demonstrated greater environmental performance. The information we even received today in terms of their recovery rates was verified by third party, not seeing that from Republic. And so we're actually seeing third party verified recovery rates. When we looked at that DuPage County report that was mentioned, if you look at all of the municipalities that use LRS versus all the municipalities that use Republic, LRS communities recycle 27% of their material and divert 35% overall, compared to Republic, which was 22% and 30%, which is about a 17% difference. Now, just to be clear, that's not all on the hauler to get that diversion. Right. But there's something to be said about the communities using LRS actually having a higher recycling rate and a higher diversion rate. I think that may have to do with the type of engagement that's been discussed and their program efficiency. I think if we looked at that from purely a number standpoint, it does appear to me that LRS provides more diversion and more recycling. And I know that it changes from town to town. So you aggregate, you sort of weight average them, that's what you get. I have to say, I think this was actually mentioned, and I hadn't talked to any of you about this, but the fact that LRS is operated here in Illinois, they're an Illinois-based company with its core facilities and equipment. I think there's something to be said about our municipal dollars going into a company that's based here in Illinois, sort of stays within our state. I was super pleased to see the discount for low income, as well as, which is a 30% discount. Also, the dry cell battery recycling LRS provided, which was not offered by Republic. And I think there has been this general feeling that I have, and just in the information we've reviewed, when we think about things like the Hefty Renew program, right? Really, I think an innovative program where things, I think soft plastics was mentioned, but also styrofoam, dealing with those types of materials. I know it's not a part of this deal. I know it's not even in DuPage County yet. But that, with a lot of the added features that we're now talking about, LRS brought to the table. And to me, that aligns a lot with our goal of innovation. And so, to me, much of what they have been talking about and the way that, from what I understand from what's been provided, sustainability does seem to be more core to LRS than it does Republic. I agree with the CEO of LRS. I think Republic has done a great job. I think they will continue, if this is the way the council decides to go, to do a great job. But for me, it's more about a decision of what we want to do moving forward. And I think the LRS proposals and their willingness to provide what I think is something that others didn't at first, really, I'm tapped into that forward thinking, and I think that is something that's important, especially since we're looking at a 6-year contract here. Rob, you mentioned some customer service issues, and I certainly appreciate an anecdotal experience. But for me, I took some time to kind of peruse the internet, take a look at a ton of different reviews on both sides. They essentially come out the same. I don't think there is a terrible issue with LRS customer service versus Republic. I don't want to discount any personal experience you had. I just think that is candidly not the best way to evaluate based on one experience. So to me, LRS goes further. I think it is more, they are more forward thinking, and I would want to see if I could maybe get some support to change the resolution or the motion here to switch to LRS. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Leslie, go ahead.
It will probably come as no surprise that I agree with Commissioner Gilmartin. My focus really is on environmental sustainability and trying to reduce the amount that goes into the landfill. And based on all of the data, I'm not going to repeat everything that Commissioner Gilmartin said, but I do agree that they're just a lot more forward, and it probably is because they are an Illinois-based smaller company, and so there's something to be said for that. I do understand my colleagues wanting to kind of maintain some consistency. And I think the only way that I could go along with this is if we would get more of a commitment from Republic to recycle materials from bulk items. That's something that LRS was pretty clear that they would pull everything that they can off of bulk items. And I was not impressed with the answer that, they'll work Republic will work with Scarce and the community to, we all know Scarce exists, but if something is left on the curb, I would like to know that if there are recyclable materials, it's getting recycled. And that was a commitment that we only saw from LRS. And again, their partnership with the Hefty Renew program, I pulled it up just so that I can let folks know how extensive it is. It's candy wrappers, granola wrappers, chip bags, foam egg cartons, dry mix liners, food storage bags, which means Ziploc bags, plastic wraps on towels, Swiffer bags, plastic grocery bags, bubble wrap and plastic pillow packs. So all those Amazon pillow packs, foam peanuts, foam block packaging. So when you get things with dry ice, clear plastic overwraps, foam to-go boxes, plastic straws, plastic utensils, and plastic plates and bowls. The combination of the fact that there's a higher diversion plus a commitment to partnering with DuPage County with this Hefty Renew program would mean a lot more diversion from the landfill. And so, not to mention that LRS offered community electronics recycling event, and Republic did not put that offer in there. It was only, a monthly fee. So there are really some, to me, large differences between the environmental sustainability with regard to the two companies that provided feedback. And if we went with this contract, I would like to see a little bit more of a focus on sustainability from Republic. Okay, that's all I have to say. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else? Want
Sure.
to jump in? Go ahead, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't think what I'm going to say is going to come as any surprise to anyone. I've been saying it since September 16th. But nevertheless, I too, like my colleagues, want to express my appreciation for a terrific process and thank our staff for that in particular. If anyone thinks this was a done deal or something that was predetermined, then I've got a bridge to sell you. I also appreciate the patience of the RFP respondents, both those here today and those who are not here today. This was a process. We put you through the ringer, that's for sure. But I think it's a good one, and for a contract of this magnitude and impact on our community and the relative infrequency that we do this for good reason, I think it was very, very appropriate and good to see that done. I appreciate the flexibility, the creativity, and the competitiveness of the RFP respondents. I think we have two very strong contenders in our midst tonight, and you've both made your cases very, very compelling. I appreciate the enhanced recycling and the additional features in both proposals that, no matter how you look at this, align better and deeper and further with our environmental sustainability plan than what we've done in the past, which was exactly what we asked for. I appreciate the addition in the latest proposals of the option of stickers for items outside of the carts, although both require that everyone have a cart in the first place. So notwithstanding all my praise, there's a but coming here. And the but is, since September 16th, I've long preferred the option one framework. I say framework because not simply continuing our current program, but taking that framework and making it more in alignment with our environmental sustainability plan, adding those features, including organics, increasing the recycling options, the other bells and whistles, losing Amnesty Day, and so on and so forth, plus some more roll up our sleeves in negotiation, which in all fairness, we never really did with option one because shortly on September 16th, we took another direction. So I don't think we'll ever really know what the financials would have been for what I would call option one on steroids, which would have been retaining that framework of the choice for our residents of either stickers or carts. So we won't know, but that's fine. We're clearly going in a different direction, and that direction I think has again been a very good process and has come up with some very strong and some very competitive financial terms and benefits for this community, no question about it. I just would have preferred to have gone in a different direction and had done that same rigorous negotiation and asked for those additional features and creativity with a option one framework. Like that Tootsie Pop commercial, the world may never know. It just comes down to this. This has got nothing to do with either one of the RFP respondents. Again, I commend you both for being very strong contenders I think you both would do a fabulous job for our community, and I appreciate your strong proposals. But I've always felt very strongly that we should not abandon but retain the choice that over 1/3 of our community currently uses, and we've heard robustly uses, which is to have the choice of either stickers or carts and the ability to switch back and forth pretty much as their lifestyle needs or their choices may dictate. I think that is something that should be preserved. I think it's something that, and again, would like to preserve that flexibility. I also think, as I've said before, that it's more consistent with the pay-as-you-throw approach that is recommended by our Environmental Concerns Commission. So again, no disrespect to either one of the proposals on the table. I think everyone's done a wonderful job of getting us to where we're at. It just doesn't reflect my preferred view, so I will not be supporting the motion. And you could have made it for LRS, and I would still not be supporting it because neither one retains that choice, which I think our community has spoken loud and clear about a desire to retain. And again, not to say that anyone's right or wrong. Sometimes you give the people what they want. It's as simple as that. What I will say again is, and I know everyone agrees with me, and staff has said it, but I'll say it anyway, is that if there is a change in program for the approximately 37% of the community that uses stickers, I know we've heard from a number of them, but I guarantee you we've not heard from all of them. Communication, education will be critical to avoid the situation where someone puts something out with a sticker and it doesn't get picked up, and then they're here at Village Hall saying, what the heck? And it may be that 6 months from now, you were absolutely right, Commissioner Rowe, the 37% of the sticker users in the community might say, I was wrong, you're right. Way to go, Village Council. I hope that's the case. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I forgot one thing, which
Elizabeth,
was unrelated to the other things that I was saying, but I did want to point out to the audience and that on May 20th, if you go and look at our agenda items and you click on the information in the packet, you can get the Downers Grove users carts versus stickers, the number of households for each gallon cart, how many carts there are. You can look at our 5-year tonnage report. So there is extensive data in our May 20th meeting. It's actually linked to our current agenda packet. So if you go back and look through each of those dates, all of the data that was requested has been covered by the council and staff. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, I thought I'd wait till the end to see how much all you said, to limit how much I need to say.
Thank you
So,
for that.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you. Really
Welcome.
appreciate that.
You're welcome. And true to form, you guys hit on all the high points. I really think it's tough for us to make a choice here, honestly. They're fantastic proposals, and so my thanks again to both LRS and to Republic for making this a really difficult choice and for responding so well to what we were looking for. And my thanks to staff for their hard work in this as well, and my fellow commissioners. This was not something any of us took lightly, and I have been a sticker user for a long time, so this affects me, and it's going to cause me to have to pay a little bit more than what I'm paying right now. But I've said all along that if that comes along with added value things, and it's something I want to consider, and sustainability is important to me. I think it's important to our residents. When we say we've gotten a lot of emails, and the community has spoken pretty loud and clear. And I don't know. I think we've gotten, I don't know what, maybe 100 emails or something. I've actually been surprised at how few emails relatively to the number of residents we have that currently have these stickers. Well, they've all got my number.
I'm going to forward all mine to you.
I've been getting all the ones you've been getting, Commissioner. So, and I've been responding to all of them as well, and trying to explain what we're looking at here. I think for many people, not having to put stickers on yard waste bags or rent a cart for that is pretty substantial. I think for our seniors, especially that maybe they're using 1 or 2 stickers a month. This $10 charge isn't a bad deal in the fact that the recycling still is going to get picked up for free. And if they have yard waste as well for free. And the composting option, if you're going to do that year round, is really substantial. So I appreciate the compelling arguments for LRS for sure, and I don't disagree with many of the points you made, but I'm valuing the continuity of service here, and the fact that I have a current waste hauler that I have heard from many people that they like, and so there isn't enough there for me to want to move away from the continuity of service and that devil you know versus the devil you don't maybe sort of idea here. So I'm feeling pretty good about where we've arrived, and I'm ready to put my trash at the curb and call it a day. That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
That's good with the analogy.
See?
Oh, man.
What size cart?
Question is, when's he gonna see this guy? That's what we really want. Any other comments or questions? Rosie, please call the roll.
Commissioner Rowe?
Aye.
Commissioner Davenport?
Aye.
Commissioner Sarver?
Aye.
Commissioner Tully?
Nay.
Commissioner Gilmartin?
Aye.
Commissioner Sadowski Fugit?
Nay.
Mayor Barnett?
Aye, that motion passes 5-2. Okay, that takes us to our first reading portion of our meeting. The portion of the meeting where we talk about subjects, sometimes for the first time, sometimes they are brought back around, so to speak, but these are items on which we will not be taking formal action this evening. So with that, I'll turn it over to Village Manager Fieldman.
There are 3 items on tonight's first reading agenda. The final 2 are related to the FY26 budget and tax levy. We do not plan on speaking or presenting on those items tonight. Further, there are opportunities in the future for that. That leaves item 1 on the first reading agenda, which is consideration of a resolution providing for a feasibility study with respect to a potential tax increment financing district. What is this all about? Well, this is about the Fairview focus area, and the village is working to revitalize the Fairview focus area and the connection area to the downtown. In fact, we're working to implement recommendations in our last 2 comprehensive plans for these important areas. A key recommendation of the comp plans is to create a tax increment financing district. A TIF district is an economic development tool that allows for the taxes generated within a specific district to be reinvested into that same area for economic development and community development purposes. This is a financing tool that helps us accomplish our goals. This resolution that's before you tonight is the first step in creating a TIF district. It authorizes the study of the area to determine the extent to which the area complies with the criteria for designating it as a TIF district. We do have, Stan Popovich created this, of course, but Stan left us here tonight with a map of the proposed district. We're happy to answer any questions that the council may have.
Any audience comments or questions on this item? Council comments or questions? Mike, go ahead.
Just want to say I'm excited to see this get going, and I wish the timeline didn't have to take as long. So,
Several months,
Yep.
we've already got a jump start on it.
Yep. So, way to go.
Anyone else? I had just one. I feel like, given how much conversation's gotten to this point, I should probably apologize for this, but nonetheless.
I never do, so go for it.
We all actually, believe it or not, we all actually do read these things and start looking at things again. And so I had one just comment, question, suggestion, maybe even. The TIF ostensibly provides opportunities to foster and facilitate redevelopment. And so it's not zoning per se, it's not even necessarily a land use map, but there's elements of that in there. And so at the far, on the map, thank you, your map is the right direction. The far east end there are, I don't know if it's one parcel or two, but it's between the Burlington right-of-way and the residential properties that are on Second. Are at least one parcel there that's generally kind of a light industrial use right now. And I'm just thinking, long-term, what might this look like in 20 years or something, that kind of a thing, or 23 years, that ought to be considered for inclusion in the TIF area.
It's that contractor's yard right in
Right
this
there.
area here.
Yeah, right, yep.
Is everybody okay with that suggestion?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Yes, I'm comfortable with that.
If you look at the map, Tammy, at the far right end, there's a little area that is one or two industrial, right now they're used in an industrial manner.
Okay, I'm trying to picture it for real.
They back up to parcels that are multi-tenant residential on Second. And so whether it's a connector to the bigger area in that street or just a future difference in use, that seemed like an area we might want to include.
Oh, okay.
Just
Mike?
for clarity's
Yeah,
sake.
go ahead, Chris.
Yep. Are we talking just about extending that lower line all the way to Williams? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
And then up to where it hits the train tracks? Just
That-
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's
I'm
what I
good with
thought,
that.
yep.
Yeah, yes.
Great.
Mike?
Yeah, I just curious, how do we miss this? Because to me, this is like, this makes a lot of
We had a
sense.
lot of conversations.
But
on that
so
area.
I'm hesitant, I have to say, I'm a little hesitant because we've had so many conversations, and so curious about the existing zoning there and yeah.
Yeah, we went through this during the Monday calls. Mayor Barnett was kind enough to give us a quick heads up, so we did an informal review with community development staff. There was a study area, and then there was a proposed rezoning area, and that got adjusted a couple times. And then there's a TIF district, and they're all three slightly different. And frankly, once this was pointed out to us that there may be a future redevelopment opportunity, staff is supportive of it.
Okay.
Just a lot going on, frankly.
Okay.
But just to
Good
clarify,
catch.
so we're not talking about revisiting any of the zoning
We're not.
or
No.
use discussions.
No.
This is simply drawing the lines to recapture certain parcels within a TIF so that the
Right.
increment could be captured in the future.
Exactly.
Good catch.
Yeah, it's a good catch, man, thank you.
It's, Mike, it's not a miss. It's just we look at this thing 4 more times between now and when we actually hit the gavel, and it'll come together.
Yeah.
All right, any other council comments?
Then we'll take that as direction the next time we have this opportunity in the process to amend that map and legal description. And with that, that ends our first reading tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Is there an attorney's report?
Yes, Mayor, only one item. That's the ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2026 budget in lieu of passage of appropriation ordinance. That's all.
Thank you, Enzo. Dave, any manager's report tonight?
It is a privilege to be part of this Downers Grove team for many, many reasons, but one of them is the great staff that we get to work with every day. I just wanted to call out a couple of folks on the budget team: Robin Leahy, Matt Timberberg, Jason Mitchnick, David Moody, Scott Vasco, all the other department heads and the assistant department heads. They're the ones that do the hard work to put together the budget book that support all the policies and ideas that the council directs. What a great team. Also want to call out everybody on the solid waste contract team: Matt Timberberg, Jason Mitchnick. The two people sitting on either side of me serve on both teams as leaders. They are incomparable, the best. So thank you to everybody on the solid waste contract team, everybody on the budget team. It truly is a privilege to be part of it. That ends the manager's report tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Council member reports. It's an opportunity for council members to report out on goings on in the community, activities that they think others should know about, other groups they may be working with. We'll start with Tammy tonight.
Why are the Christmas decorations up already?
No kidding. Jeez.
No report, Mayor.
That ends your report?
Silencer.
Wow.
I
Chris.
have no report, Mayor. Thank you.
Martin.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I just wanted to let everyone know that Hope's Front Door, which is an outstanding not-for-profit in our community that is so much good for residents of Downers Grove and surrounding communities with very little staff and very little funds. What they do with what they have is truly amazing, and is we're really privileged to have them as part of our community, particularly these days where there's even greater demands and strain upon organizations like Hope's Front Door, supporting those in need. And when I say those, I'm really talking about our neighbors. It's right here in our community. Hope's Front Door is having its annual Glitz and Games fundraiser, which is its big fundraiser that it has every year. But this one is particularly special because it is the 25th anniversary of Hope's Front Door, of doing great things in Downers Grove and for Downers Grove and surrounding communities. That fundraiser will be held on November 14th from 6:30 p.m. until 11 p.m. It's over at the Signature Room in Seven Bridges, where it's been held the last few years. There will be all kinds of games and music and dancing and raffles and many, many different ways to have a great time with your neighbors, your friends, and also support a really good cause that comes back to do really good things right here in our own community. It is not too late to get tickets. I would recommend that you go to hopesfrontdoor.org to get tickets. It's going to be a 25th anniversary, fantastic, amazing time. If you need any help figuring out how to get tickets, let me know. I will personally be glad to assist you. But I would really encourage those who have the time and have the availability, and even if you can't make it, just supporting Hope's Front Door is another outstanding organization in our community. I was going to say, reminding people that we have coffee with the council this Saturday right here at the Civic Center, November 8th from 9 a.m. until 10 a.m. And yes, it is budget focused, but if you have other things in your mind you want to talk to us about, please come on down and do so. We'd be glad to see you. And then last but not least, there are 233 days left until Rotary Grove Fest 2026. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Mike?
Yeah, speaking of another great organization in our community, the Fish Food Pantry has, so at my Rotary meeting this morning, heard a report out from Lisa Raisin that they've been collecting quite a bit of food, and the need is really, really big right now, folks. So, and they actually have a need for volunteers to help sort all that food, that sort of thing. So if you can spare an hour or two, I know that they'd welcome you. So please, if you can do that, help them out. And of course, donations are really, really appreciated. So thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Rob?
All right, after coffee with the council, everybody can run over to Downers North for the pumpkin smash to get rid of their pumpkins in a sustainable fashion. So the pumpkin smash, which is sponsored by Scarce, is at Downers North this Saturday, November 9th from 9 to noon.
Thank you.
Not sustaining the pumpkins, are you?
I am.
It helps when you never get around to buying it.
Pumpkins aren't being
That's just me.
sustained.
I do actually have a couple things.
Please.
I just want to thank everyone who came out to the screening of Will and Harper for United Against Hate Week on October 27th. It's a really moving movie if you have not seen it, and was really grateful to see more than 100 of our neighbors there. So thank you for committing to kindness. Also, last night, the Grove Foundation celebrated our annual grant ceremony where we gave out $18,500 worth of grants to 14 local charities to ensure that our community is supported, whether it be from enriching the lives of seniors to mental health supports to supporting our teen LGBTQ+ community. As one recipient stated last night, it means something more when you're getting a grant from your neighbors, those people who you see every day in the grocery store, as opposed to some big foundation. So it was a really heartwarming evening. Finally, I want to speak on the fact that I was made aware on Friday that ICE was in our community disappearing people, including a guardian and some local staff at local businesses. I take my role as a community leader seriously and believe that part of our job is to ensure that community members, all those who work, live, and play in our village, are safe and respected. Unfortunately, that hasn't been the case. Now, for anyone not familiar with our Downers Grove Police Department training, I can tell you it's quite extensive. Not just weapons training, but de-escalation, crisis intervention, implicit bias, among others. These new ICE agents have had none of that. And reportedly, many have entered the very abbreviated training without even a full vetting process, including many who failed drug testing and have disqualifying criminal backgrounds, or don't meet the physical or academic requirements to serve. This puts our whole community in danger if they choose to escalate and promote violence, violating the orders of several judges. So what exactly is the role of local government and what are our legal rights? That is something that I plan to dig into to protect our community from these agents who believe that they can act with impunity and circumvent our legal system. I do believe it's well within my role to ensure that no more human beings have their constitutional rights violated when they're within Downers Grove village limits, and I pledge to do everything in my power to protect vulnerable populations and keep families together. As many up here have stated, no one deserves to feel unsafe in their own community, and I'm dedicated to making certain that that's the case in Downers Grove. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. I didn't have a report, but I want to just reflect on something for a minute. I was with a group today, a little earlier today, before this meeting, and we were talking about a variety of village things and things like proclamations and, months for this and events for that. And one of the things we were talking about was the council and the village as a government entity, whether that's our team over there or the people you see out on the street every day, trying to model the behavior that we hope everyone in the community has. And we don't get it right every time, to be sure. If you've watched enough of these meetings, you've seen me not get it right. But we do try pretty hard. And one of the things I think tonight was an example. Now, maybe it wasn't a subject that gets everybody's emotions up as others do, but this garbage contract thing. Months of discussion, months of public input, lots of data. That should lead us all to one answer, right? It didn't. It led us to three. And that's kind of the reality of what we do every day. That's normal. But what I hope we do an increasingly better job of doing, and I think most of the time we do pretty well, is what you saw tonight, which is honest, open debate back and forth that's respectful. And so my hope is that continues to be not just a garbage contract tonight, but our engagement with residents, our engagement with each other, our teams engaging with our community, models the behavior that we hope the whole community has towards one another. So if you watch tonight and you watch this and you go back and you watch these garbage meetings, I think my colleagues referenced some of them. There were some pretty serious debates and discussions, and they sometimes ended up with a little grumpiness here or there. But we ended tonight doing something, making progress on behalf of the community, and not all agreeing and still being agreeable with it. So I want to just say thank you to my colleagues for that. That's a process that's important no matter what the subject is. And I think we did it pretty well in this case. So thank you all. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you all and have a good night.